All right, man, peace. You know, brothers, Rich Paul has become the new boogeyman of the NBA. He's the new agent that if one of your players signs with him and becomes a client of his services, you now have to start wondering. You have to start scrambling through your papers and going over your scenarios on your chalkboard and saying to yourself, wow, what if this guy leaves now? Because Rich Paul is not playing and none of his clients are playing. So when I heard that Draymond Green decided that he was going to change agencies, he was previously with B.J. Armstrong. Yes, the former three-time world champion point guard of the Chicago Bulls during the early 90s. Yes, that B.J. Armstrong. He was Draymond Green's agent. Well, I think that Draymond has seen how Golden State treated him in the aftermath of his little dust-up with KD. And he said to himself, the writing's on the wall that if they get the opportunity, they may trade me in the offseason if it means keeping Kevin Durant. And Draymond is smart to think that because KD is utilizing a lot of prudence. He's utilizing a lot of discretion right now. But do I think that he's fully over that issue, the altercation between himself and Draymond Green earlier this season? No, I do not. I think that he's just playing nice right now. I believe that at some point in the offseason, when Kevin Durant is negotiating with Golden State, he may tell them, I want Draymond out. Not only did Draymond Green disrespect me, but he's no longer the player that he once was. His lateral movement is not there. He's not the leaper that he once was. He's not the rebounder that he once was. And he's not the defensive impact player that he once was. That is what I believe Kevin Durant's representation is going to tell Bob Myers and Steve Kerr and whoever else is going to be willing to listen when it comes to that whole Kevin Durant, Draymond Green situation. And I think that Draymond, he may suspect something along those lines as well. So he has to protect himself. And Rich Paul's the guy that you want to protect you. Because we all know that Draymond is going to be the odd man out when it comes to who is going to get that max contract. So I think that Draymond, he's pushing 30 years old. He knows that he's not going to be as valuable to other teams as he is to Golden State. So he wants to make sure that he maximizes however much money he can make in the last few remaining years of his career. Because Draymond's not going to be a player who's going to be in the NBA at 38 years old. He might have one big contract left and then he's out of the league. And it's gone by pretty fast. Once again, Draymond's pushing 30. I'm not quite sure how old he is, but he was drafted in 2012. And he was a 4-year player in college. So he's probably somewhere around 29 years old, pushing 30. So if he gets one more major deal, that'll probably take him because I think he has 2 more years left on this deal. If Golden State renegotiates, that'll probably push him to about 34 years old. And then he's going to be out of the league. Because who else is going to put up with his bullshit? So it's best for him to make this move right now. Do not be surprised to hear about Draymond Green getting traded in the offseason because of contract talks between Golden State and Rich Paul. So anyway, they're going to talk about it and I'm going to chime in.
All right, party people. Warriors 3-time All-Star Draymond Green is close to hiring Rich Paul of Clutch Sports as his basketball rep, according to Yahoo Sports. Green is in the 4th year of a 5-year, $82 million deal and will be an unrestricted free agent in the summer of 2020. Meanwhile, this summer, Kevin Durant could opt out of his current deal and Klay Thompson will be an unrestricted free agent. Stephen A.,
Yo.
What kind of problem could Draymond hiring Rich Paul present for the Warriors?
Well, I think it could create a problem because the Warriors are accustomed to, coaxing people into accepting a little less. I don't know if that's going to be the case.
That's not going to be the case, and that's my whole point, Stephen A. Smith. Draymond knows that they plan on trying to shortchange him because he's not the illustrious player. He's not the guy who's going to be able to go into Bob Myers' office and say, I deserve this much money. I deserve the max because I averaged 27 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. That's not what Draymond does. What Draymond does at the end of the season is average 8, 8, and 8. Maybe a steal and a half per game, maybe a block per game. It's very difficult to quantify what Draymond does. He understands that. So it's necessary that he has an agent who's going to maximize his earning potential by any means necessary. Even if that means that Draymond has to play a Monstar in the sequel to Space Jam.
Steph Curry's got his money. Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant are the priorities. Draymond Green is smart enough to know they should be the priority, not to mention the fact that their deals are up this season, whereas he's signed through next season.
Well, Klay Thompson's deal is up at the end of this year.
But in the end, after signing a 5-year, $82 million deal in 2015, represented by B.J. Armstrong, the former Chicago Bull, Draymond wanted to go in a different direction. And, you know, I've spoken to him on several occasions throughout this season. And this is the one thing that I do know, because he and I spoke about this actually weeks ago. He said to me, because I saw him on the shop with LeBron and those guys, and what, you know, he said to me, I get tired of people talking about Rich Paul like he's just some product of LeBron James. At some point in time, you got to give this young black man credit for what he's doing in this business.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. Rich Paul's a genius. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. And geniuses scare people. The only issue that I've ever had with any of his machinations is that he has put Anthony Davis in the position where he may have cost himself the opportunity to be forced into the position to become a leader. It's not within Anthony Davis, or it's not his natural inclination to lead. But I think that the talent that was surrounding him in New Orleans may have placed him in the position where he would have been forced to grow into something that he never will now, because eventually he's going to end up with LeBron James. Now, I think that as he's currently constituted mentally, he fits in very well with LeBron. Because one thing that I have observed about Anthony is that he deals with stress very well. He does not allow people to penetrate into his mind and affect his conduct or anything like that. And he actually likes being the second best player on a team that has a player of the caliber of LeBron James. He has no issues with that whatsoever. So I think he's going to fit in very well with LeBron. But I don't think that he's ever going to be the best version of himself now that he's going to be moved from that team. What New Orleans really needed was a change in head coach. I thought they made a mistake when they fired Monty Williams. I never, ever fully understood why they would do something like that. I mean, on its surface, they were looking for a coach who could bring that Golden State system to New Orleans, but it made no sense because they didn't have Steph Curry, they didn't have Klay Thompson. In order for you to run Golden State's system to the level of proficiency that they run it, you have to have Steph Curry and you have to have Klay Thompson. Your system has to go along with your personnel. So that was their main issue, because for those of you who remember, they made the playoffs in 2015 with Monty Williams as coach. They got swept, and then he gets fired. And then they bring in Alvin Troutmouth Gentry. And they finally get back to the playoffs last year. And I thought that they were a team that was on the upswing. But Anthony Davis had other plans because Rich Paul and LeBron James had gotten into his head.
Aaron and Eric Goodwin are talented, obviously very talented and elite agents. Bill Duffy is one of the greatest ever. These are African Americans who are agents in this business, and they're very capable. But when you talk about Rich Paul and what he's been doing as of late, you can't take credit away from what he's doing. And where Draymond is going right now, and where he's planning on going in his life, not just basketball, it seems to be a decent move, if not a pretty great move. Because here's the thing that everybody needs to understand about Draymond Green. He's his own man, for better or worse. I can assure you this ain't one of them situations where he was coaxed by LeBron to go to Rich Paul. You ain't coaxing Draymond Green into doing anything. So that's important to point out.
I don't think that LeBron necessarily had to coax him. I believe that Rich Paul has such a gift of gab that he was able to convince Draymond. And besides that, Rich Paul has proven through his numerous works that he's deserving of serious consideration by any athlete.
And here's the thing. He went to Michigan State. Why do I bring that up, Max? Because even though he's in
Yes, MK Ultra Central.
San Fran now, or Oakland rather, okay? Don't think for 1 second that this move is about him ultimately ending up in L.A. That's the first thing that jumped to my mind. L.A., 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 Draymond Green.
Wouldn't shock me, though. Wouldn't shock me. I think that Draymond's a player who could play very well with LeBron James because he does not want any shots. He'd be comfortable actually sitting on the baseline and just taking wide open threes. And he'll do a lot of the dirty work. And he'll lead when LeBron does not feel like having to yell at any of the teammates.
You speak to Tom Izzo, you speak to Draymond Green, you speak to other people that know Draymond Green. Draymond Green is the type of dude, give him the right situation, he'll go to Alaska. He'll give a damn where it is, okay? Just give him the right situation. So now you have a situation where in today's NBA economy, believe it or not, because he's a utility guy that's very versatile and can do a lot of things effective on the basketball court that don't involve scoring, that's going to make him incredibly valuable. Is it a max deal? Probably not.
Steve, stop. Draymond's only going to be but so valuable. He's valuable to Golden State because he fits in perfectly with that team. But there are not that many other teams where Draymond will be even moderately as valuable as he is in Golden State.
But if it's one of those situations where it's considerably more than $82 million, you're damn right it could be, assuming he stays healthy and he can play.
Draymond Green gets paid $16 million this year. What's the Supermax contract at the highest? About 36, right?
Yep.
He's going up to 17 and then 18. That's the rest of his deal, right? Mm-hmm. He's about a half-max player.
I agree with that. I think that Rich Paul will be fortunate if he can get Draymond a deal averaging somewhere around $23 million a year.
But he gives you much more value than that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I believe he is in decline.
Definitely.
I believe he's a little quarter step slower than he used to be. Clearly, his three-point shooting has gone backwards, but with the addition of...
Backwards? That's an understatement. Draymond's three-point shooting has gone under the table. I mean, that dude really looks like he's shooting with a book bag on.
Of Kevin Durant, he goes from shooting 4 threes a game to like 2.5, something like that. And sure, a guy like that is not a pure shooter, probably needs more touches to be in the rhythm of hitting those shots. But Draymond Green's overall game is so excellent. He also, by the way, has fallen from third most important Warrior behind Steph, and he used to be second. I think Steph was the most important guy, then Draymond, then Clay.
Agreed.
Then KD joined the team. And with Draymond taking a little half step back, quarter step back, and Clay continuing to do what he does, Draymond's really like the fourth best player on the team now.
That's also because that pick and roll that Draymond and Steph used to run so well, they don't really run that as much anymore. Number one, because now they have KD and they'd rather just feed KD on the elbow. And also because teams know how to defend it a little bit better.
So all that said, if the Warriors look at their situation and go, we need to reshuffle this deck, we could lose KD, who knows with Clay, we still have Steph, and we need to build around that, it may be a situation where they're best off flipping Draymond into something else.
I would agree with that. As a matter of fact, I've been saying that ever since that dust up with him and KD, that the Warriors may have to consider trading Draymond. Now, he seemed to have a bit of a rebirth in the middle of the season where he started to play better. Now he started to descend back down to what we saw early on in the season. The Warriors may want to trade him early while he still has some trade value. Draymond, I'm talking about.
Young pieces or parts. I do think, certainly the first thing that comes to my mind is, how would Draymond play with LeBron James? Extremely well.
Yes, they would fit very well together. I think that a litmus test for Draymond is going to be this up-and-coming playoff run. Because there are going to be some bruising big men on many of the teams that they're going to be going up against that are going to bring the best and the worst out of Draymond Green. I'm really looking forward to a possible Golden State versus Rockets playoff matchup just to see how well Draymond fares against the manimal Kenneth Faried.
Draymond gets every loose ball. Draymond's a monster defender, defends multiple positions.
Well, excuse the interjection. We don't even have to hear from LeBron about the Lakers. If Draymond Green is on that squad, he'd have been yelling at them on the floor. Yes, they wouldn't have got to the locker room without him.
Or Draymond might be yelling at LeBron James. You think that Draymond going to sit there and just allow LeBron James to play that fake-ass free safety bullshit? Nah. Draymond will get on LeBron.
The other thing about it is when you acquire Draymond, however you redo the deal, if you get him in the middle of this deal, you can usher him in under the cap as a half-max player, which means you can afford to go out and get other players and then redo his deal in such a way that it doesn't handicap you getting a max contract guy.
Here's the interesting and compelling part that we can't ignore in all of this.
And also, what would Golden State want back for Draymond if they were to make a trade with the Lakers, which I don't foresee, but you never know? What would they want back for him?
The Golden State...
Or be able to get back for him.
State Warriors are about to move into a new arena. It's a state-of-the-art arena. Everybody can't wait to see it. It's presumably going to be a cash cow. I spoke to one guy that was a season ticket holder. There is a season ticket holder. He pays $140,000.
Wow.
A year for his season tickets for the Golden State Warriors now. To go into the new arena, the price has elevated to over $550,000. Yeah. So he says,
what? $550,000 a year to watch some basketball? God damn.
All I'm saying to you is this: when you consider the money that
even Max Kellerman got laughs. Max said it's $140 a year for the season pass on TV. I agree with you, sir.
That they're going to be printing practically. This is what a Draymond Green and others believe, including management with the Golden State Warriors. Their belief is we can keep whoever we want if money is the issue. We got enough money to pay everybody. Draymond knows that. So it comes down to, do you want to keep him or don't you? And if you don't want to keep him, chances are you're not going to want to go into next season approaching the last year of Draymond Green's contract. You probably want to get rid of him this summer, which is why the timing of Rich Paul's arrival with him makes it very, very interesting, because Rich Paul has to deal with Anthony Davis this summer as well. Even though he's still under contract as well, you're planning on getting rid of him if you're the Pelicans. So it's going to be a very interesting summer.
But the significance of Draymond is, even if you do redo the deal right away, he's probably not going to get $30-something million a year.
Nah.
So even if it's 3/4 that instead of half, it allows you can't really do 3 max contracts anymore if you're bringing them together. Yeah. You can get 2 and then some useful parts.
Unless you're willing to pay the luxury tax. Yeah.
Even then, to fit it all, you have to have drafted them so you can grandfather it in with their bird rights and then sign it right before that happens and all that stuff. 3 is really difficult. Guys are going to have to take haircuts. But if one of those guys you value as a real superstar, or at least the third wheel in a championship team, and they're at 3/4 of the max deal, it makes it easier to do what you have to do.
The real question is, though, does Golden State believe that Draymond Green is done? And do they believe that he's worth the trouble? That's what it's going to boil down to. I don't think that money is going to be that major of an issue, even though I do believe that the luxury tax is going to become so prohibitive after a few years that even the coffers in Golden State are going to start to empty out. So they're going to have to make some business decisions.
Draymond, because of that, even with a raise, becomes a really attractive asset over the next year or two for any team who thinks they're ready to win that.
Well, listen, he's probably not going to get a max deal. He's probably not going to get a max, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't deserve to be paid an exorbitant amount of dollars. In today,
well, that depends. What do you define as exorbitant?
Today's NBA economy, Draymond Green is worth $25 million.
Yep.
Somewhere around there. Somewhere between 22.5 and 25. 25 is the high end, though.
Season.
So you're assuming that he wouldn't get the max.
The other important point to bring up before we go is that the Golden State Warriors have been prodded by some folks, and I think some of them are adopting the belief. Of course, we want to keep Clay and Kevin Durant, but a subject for later on in this, not in this show, but for the days and weeks to come. Who should be the priority? Because the Golden State Warriors appear to be prioritizing keeping the Splash Brothers together as opposed to Kevin Durant in favor of Klay Thompson. Now, you want to keep all 3. Please don't get me wrong.
Maybe they feel like KD's going to leave.
Absolutely. Thank you, Molly Karam. Stephen A. Smith is on TV trying to once again, communicate or send certain messages to Kevin Durant to make him believe that Golden State don't want him. Golden State wants that man back. It's just that they believe that since Steph and Klay Thompson are homegrown products, that it's more likely that they're going to stay than Kevin Durant.
In their perfect world, of course, in their perfect world, it's keeping all 3. But the priority is keeping the Splash Brothers together.
73 wins and a championship in 2 seasons and narrowly getting back-to-back was before KD ever got there. The actual forgotten guy in all this is Andre Iguodala, who was Iguodala was a great player and is still a useful and good player, and he's completely forgotten about he's the finals MVP.
He's just not young.
Well, Iguodala is going to go down as one of the great role players on a championship team in the history of the NBA. Like he's their version of Michael Cooper.
Not young anymore.
He's not young anymore. That's it. But he's still. You want.
And when he was hurt, there was a huge difference. Yeah.
For sure. But let's not forget that was a defending champion, 73-win team that almost repeated before KD ever got there. The Splash Brothers plus Dre.
KD's coming to New York. You know the deal. Is Aaron?
But anyway, that's basically it on that. We'll see if KD is actually going to come to New York. I don't think that he's built for New York. I think that if he's smart, he's going to stay where he's at. I think that. There's a great deal of wherewithal that comes with knowing where you're comfortable and where you fit in. But anyway, peace.